And indeed, we have a ready-made mixed duet synchro pair in the making here in the studio. We've got Becky Adlington and Tom Daley.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not as elegant as you. I don't think I can do this.
I try synchro, then why not?
It's a perfect fit. Surely height differential, will it matter?
Oh,
yeah, there is
probably.
quite a bit,
yeah, there's a bit of a height difference, and probably when we got our legs up in the air, that might be about, like, you know, a whole foot probably difference.
Tell you what, let's just stick to punditry anyway
Yes.
for the next wee while. First of all, Becky, how nice to be back in Glasgow, scene of the Commonwealth Games 2014.
Oh, so good. The Commonwealth, I remember being in that pool and my ears just rang with just the volume. Even though it's not a huge venue, the crowds were just absolutely fantastic. And for the Summers, we haven't had anything on home ground since then, so they're absolutely loving this. They're just so glad to have that home crowd behind them again.
And Tom, you come here as a dad.
I know.
Congratulations,
Thank you
little
very
Robbie.
much. Little Robbie, I know. It was so sad leaving him last night, and that's why I'm only here for like 2 days, so I need to run back to him. Like FaceTime every 2 seconds, but yeah, it's been the most amazing thing.
I'm sure it has. Congratulations to you,
thank you.
lads. And obviously you're not competing here, but you are witness to the birth of a new event. How does this multi-sport Euros grab you? A good idea?
I think multi-sport events are such a good idea, especially for people that have never been to an Olympic Games before, because Commonwealth Games and the Olympics are the two main events where you have multi-sport, and it's so different going to a multi-sport event compared to going to your regular European Championships, World Championships, because you don't get that experience. And for people, especially the younger divers and other sports people, being able to have that experience before going to an Olympic Games makes a massive difference.
Is it going to elevate, in effect, the status of a European Championship medal? I mean, these were all in existence before, apart from the golf, which is a new event, but do you think it's going to just give that little leg up to the status of it?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. And I think for the Summers, I mean, it's exactly 2 years to Tokyo. So for them, this has been one of their major championships anyway. But I think you really get it when you're on the team. Like, if we ever get told, oh, the cyclists have just won a gold medal, the whole team cheer and chant, even though that they're preparing for their races. It's still something that really, really lifts the whole team and goes, oh, well, we want to do that now that they've done it. And it will just get the ball rolling. I think over the next few days, we'll just see medals after medals after medals, hopefully.
And we've had the Commonwealth Games recently, but in all of these sports, how big a step up in terms of quality are a European Championships compared with the Commonwealth Games? For example, in swimming, what would you say, Becky? Yeah,
the Europeans tend to be a lot harder. I think the Commonwealth Games, obviously, is just mainly us against Australia. So I think here, some of the events are just absolutely jam-packed and it's going to be really tough. I mean, some of the events don't quite have the same depth because, obviously, America aren't here and things, but it does, I think, it is very often harder to win a European medal than it is a Commonwealth medal.
And in diving, Tom?
It really depends, and it varies between the men's and the women's. The men's and Commonwealth Games is slightly easier than European men's diving, and it's the reverse for women's diving. But the Russians, Ukrainians are all very, very strong in diving. OK,
looking forward to discussing that a little bit more. But what a season Dina's had so far, Becky.
I love her. And I say this every time she comes on TV because I think so often we talk about athletes that have this full package, that have kind of the mental ability as well as obviously physical and talent and everything else. And she has that. She's just so professional and she always does it with a smile. Like, she just has one of those smiles that just light up her face. And she's just so lovely. I've met her as well and she's the nicest person. I am so glad it's all coming together. After a couple of years of injuries, it's like, come on, it's her time. Give it to her.
She's targeting this 100, 200 possible double. Now, that would be a massive breakthrough in her career. If you had to have a little word in her shell, like, about handling something and handling the pressure on your way to your first big title, or indeed a first double, because she's already a 200 metres European titleist, what would you say, Tom?
I mean, she's had the setbacks of injury and the frustrations and, as she calls it, inconvenience of having injuries. And I think for her, it's just focusing on the process of what she needs to do, kind of shut out what everyone else is doing. You can't control what the person next to you on your left or your right is doing. Just focus on what you need to do and the process, and the outcome will look after itself.
Daphne Shippers is a two-time world champion over 200 metres. She's the woman, if you like, in possession. She's on the top of the pedestal. You've both been there. What's it like seeing the up-and-coming talent coming towards you and gunning for you?
That's the hardest position, right? To be at the top and to stay there is the most difficult thing. Whereas if you're the one chasing, makes it a lot easier because you've got nothing to lose. So for her, she just has to get out there, give it everything, and it's an exciting time, I think, for her today.
It is. It's going to be a very exciting time for that British team. The track and field team, we've got Gabby Logan, Michael Johnson, Colin Jackson, etc., all rolling into town on Monday.
Kick us out.
And they're going to do the athletics from here in Glasgow. No doubt they will be demanding Glühwein to get them in the German spirit, instead of just having a pint of heavy like any normal person here in Glasgow. But it is about a 2.5-mile run, not that I've done it, from George Square, along Cochrane Street, down Renfield Street, then right along the Clyde. You will see this kind of weird armadillo thing, and next to it you will see a kind of flying saucer building. That is the Hydro, scene of the gymnastics, and it is a building that double Olympic champion Max Whitlock really loves. Max Whitlock loves Glasgow and loves that Hydro Arena. He's won 8 major medals, including 4 golds here at the Commonwealth Games and also the World Championships in 2015, where he became the first British man ever to win a world title. Loves this place, and like you, always raves about the crowds that come here, rather like the ones that go to Toll Cross. It does create a fantastic atmosphere for these sports, and gymnastics is living proof of it.
Yeah, I think especially for gymnastics, because you can hear everything, and obviously you have to be really quiet where it's going on, but it's so open. I dive in a pool, I can't hear anything once I'm in the water because you can't. But actually for Max, it does make such a huge difference. And for these guys, especially some of the smaller sports, you don't get the crowd all the time. I was used to my mum and dad in the stands, just 2 people going, go, like that, and that's it. So then when you come to major events like this, it makes such a huge difference, because we're so used to hearing just USA, USA all the time. And you're like, no, what happened to us Brits? So when it's on home ground, it just gives you a lift, and you find this extra 1% as an athlete that you didn't know you had, you didn't know was possible, but the crowd give you that.
We're looking forward to seeing Max. Unfortunately, Niall Wilson, real star of the Commonwealth Games, injured. So too Becky Downey. She had to pull out on Wednesday after 15 months. She was looking forward to coming back and competing, but she's had to pull out as a precaution. But that's all part of the game. You've done some gymnastics, I believe, with indeed Niall.
Yes.
It's all part of the game, coming back from injury, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, injury is really frustrating, and, you know, Niall has been injured a lot in the last few years, so to actually have to pull out of the competition, I can imagine, is very devastating for him. But he's a great guy, and I know that he'll be coming back stronger and stronger, especially coming into Tokyo 2020.
I think sometimes it's a smart decision at this point in the cycle as well. As much as they want to compete on home ground, the bigger picture is obviously Tokyo in 2 years, and it's much better that you pull out and rest and get it right now than it is in 2 years' time.
OK, well, we're looking forward to seeing Max Whitlock there, Olympic champion. But there were 2 Olympic champions who didn't go, like Max, to the Commonwealth Games a few months ago. And they are, of course, Great Britain's golden couple, Jason and Laura Kenny. Well, this is the first event of the qualifying for Tokyo, and so therefore it's a really stacked British team. But, you know, on a personal level, can you imagine juggling the needs of a 1-year-old with the demands of an athlete in a major competition? It's an extraordinary thing that both she and Jason are attempting, isn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I've got a 3-year-old and I'm like, no, I'm glad I'm retired, thanks. But just what they're doing is amazing. And I think, as Laura said there, it just puts everything into perspective when you're a mum, because before cycling and everyone's competition and your work, it's just life or death, and you think, oh gosh, what happens if I don't win the medal, and you start panicking about things. Whereas now she hasn't got that worry about it. It doesn't matter if she doesn't get a gold medal. As much as she would love that, she still goes home to her beautiful baby boy who doesn't have a clue what his mummy and daddy have just been doing.
Yeah.
And I think that makes the difference here, and you could tell she just seems so confident and relaxed and just so chilled about it all. And that's the first time I've seen her like that in a long time, and it just made me smile watching that, because she just seems happy, and that's the most important thing.
There is a sense of perspective, definitely, but what clearly shines through is the determination of the 2 of them to add to their incredible Olympic haul. They want to be the best of all time. Obviously, Jason Kenny shares that with Sir Chris at the moment, but Laura's in a league of her own already. It's an amazing ambition.
Yeah, I think, you know, like they said, they didn't need to carry on, but they wanted to, because they wanted to make their kid proud. And I think there's something really special about that, and perspectives change, and now cycling may not be the one and only and most important thing in their life anymore, because, like Becky said, you go home and you've got a kid at home, makes, whether you've had a good day or a bad day, it makes it all so much better. So kind of takes that pressure off. So I bet they're going to end up performing a lot better if they even can perform better than a gold medal. I mean,
well, take note, Tom, because this is going to be you. You're going to have to get back.
I'm going to have to find out all about this in the coming months. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Well, indeed, because you're going to sit this one out. You've been recovering from injury. You're taking time out to be with the family, obviously.
Exactly.
So what can we expect from Lauren Mears in particular in the diving pool? Because how much better can it get for those guys?
I mean, British diving is in such a strong place right now, and I think we can expect to see quite a few medals, like Laura Mears in the synchronized 3-meter event. They are strong favourites alongside the Russians, because the Russians are currently the world champions in this event. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes down. I think the home crowd can really, really lift them.
And other highlights that you could flag up to us? A very young British team in many respects, but so many youngsters coming through. Yeah,
there's lots of youngsters coming through. We've got in the mixed 3-meter synchro event, which is usually one of my events, with a diver, Grace Reed, who is going to be diving in Edinburgh in front of a home crowd up there, which will be lovely. She's diving with Ross Haslam, and I think they've got a very, very strong medal chance, as well as Jack Law individually. And then you've also got Matty Lee and Matt Dixon on the 10-meter individual event too. So it's a strong team, and I think we can expect to see quite a few medals.
OK, we're looking forward to that. Starts on Tuesday, I think,
yes,
the diving?
I believe so.
Looking forward to it. OK, we're going to be concentrating on some swimming very shortly. Now, we've got Adam Peaty in the 100 metres breaststroke heats from about 10:40. But before that, 9:30 is the time when Hannah Miley, Smiley Miley, she's been known. She's been the smiling face of British swimming for many, many years. And at the grand old age of about 29, something like that, she is now.
She's my age, yeah, it's crazy.
Ancient, in ancient terms. She still loves it, doesn't she? And she is amazing. She's already been to 3 Olympic Games. Has she got the stomach for a 4th? Do you think she'll keep going, Becky?
I don't know, and it's a really hard one to say. And obviously, it's totally up to Hannah. And I just think if Hannah puts her mind to it, of course she can be there, and she's definitely got the talent. She's got the work ethic as well, and she's just got everything, Hannah. I mean, she has got that full package. To stay at the top of your game, as you said earlier, it's very difficult to constantly stay at that kind of world class, and she has missed out on medals. And I mean, it broke my heart so many times over the past few years, her missing out, because if anyone deserves it on the team, it is Hannah. And she is that standout person, because she works so hard day in, day out, and everything she has been through. But for me, it's one of those that, who knows, she might find a different love, she might find a different passion, and I think you never know where life's going to take you. But hopefully here at this major meet, that she can actually stand up, hopefully in the finals tonight. Hopefully she will make through the heat, it's all fine, and she can just get the result that Hannah wants, and to see that smile back on her face.
We shall see. Well, I think Amy Wilmot's certainly going to give her a race, as she did at the Commonwealth Games. But we've got to talk about Adam Peaty as well, a man you both know very well indeed. There is a kind of recurring theme here. The Olympic champions that went to the Commonwealth Games, Peaty, Alistair Brownlee, Max Whitlock, all suffered disappointments, setbacks. Are they blips in an Olympic cycle, or do you need defeats to keep your motivation strong at this point when you have been at the top? What would you say?
I think you do need setbacks, and you do need that, you know, little kick to give you that motivation to really work as hard as you possibly can, because if it's all plain sailing all the time, you can kind of get complacent and you think that you're always going to be there. Whereas having something like that happen where you get beaten or you don't quite have the performance you'd like, gives you things to work on and be more specific in your training. And I think, like Peter has said in so many interviews, he's ready to come back, and it's really taught him lots of lessons. I think those lessons are what make us stronger.
Well, you're looking at the 50 metres breaststroke from 3 months ago in the Commonwealth Games, and this was Adam's first defeat in 4 years. Cameron Vandenberg was the man who just got the touch here, and this was just after he'd been talking about perhaps going through his career unbeaten. It was a real reality check for him, wasn't it?
It really was. I mean, he's still unbeaten on the 100 metres breaststroke. We can still give him that, of course, which is the Olympic event. I think it was a strange one for us all, because Adam has been just smashed that world record over the 50 metres. I think almost people would have said he would probably have been more challenged on the 100 metres than the 50 metres. I thought I would have just given him that gold medal. So it was a real real kind of like wow moment, even though it wasn't bad. He didn't come last or anything else. It wasn't. It wasn't a complete shocker because everyone was like, he's failed. He really hasn't. He's got a silver medal, which is still fantastic and unbeaten in the 100. But for Adam, but his start has always been the weaker one. It definitely has got better. His start is much better. But Cameron Vanderberg there, who won the gold, has got a better start than him. But I think for Adam, he just didn't seem as relaxed and as comfortable. And I think for me, it's about if you're a happy swimmer, you're a good swimmer. We often say that. And I think for Adam, it's just about if he comes into this, if I see him relaxed behind the blocks, and you notice Adam does this little like nod and talks to himself, he's like, I got this. He's got this like swag about him, Adam, that I have not got. I'm not cool. But he has. And like the thing is, if Adam does that, I know it's going to be a good race and I instantly relax. And that's just what I look out for with Adam.
Mark Foster's called him Great Britain's Usain Bolt. He's a game changer in swimming. He has a freakish ability almost. Do you subscribe to that?
100%. And it's just like, when people say to me, oh, you're Britain's like most successful swimmer, I'm like, I'm not. Adam is, just because he's not got the medals yet, but they're to come and he can't help the fact that the 50 metres isn't an Olympic event. Yeah. Whereas Adam, what he's achieved is 10 times better than I ever achieved in my career. And what he's done is, for British swimmers as well, he's such a role model.
He is, and he's at the last 2 European Championships taken 4 gold medals in each. He's entered in 4, so perhaps we might be looking at one of the great multi-medalists of these games. We shall see. In terms of the other swimmers who caught the eye, and I know, Tom, you were looking at the likes of Duncan Scott, 6 medals in the Commonwealth Games for Scotland. That was a record there. But would you expect guys like him to stand up and really push the envelope at Tollcross this week?
I think the whole British team in general have a real good chance. Like you said, with home crowd, you get those extra 1 or 2% that you didn't even realise that you had, just because you feel like you're being lifted up or pushed along and made to go faster, jump higher, spin faster, whatever it is. You're really pushed by a home crowd because you get that extra adrenaline and you feel that as long as you don't let the pressure of a home crowd get to you, as long as you use it to your advantage, to use the adrenaline the way that you know how and focus on the process, then I think the British team are going to come away with a lot of medals.
It's not just about Britain, as it never is, obviously. We've got the likes of Katinka Hosu of Hungary. We've got Sarah Sjöström of Sweden. Some really good names here in Glasgow this week, Becky.
Yeah, Katinka Hosu will be an interesting one, as she's having a very public separation from her coach and husband. And it'll be interesting because them two have always been such a talking point for us all, that it'll be really interesting to see how she gets on, especially because Siobhan Marie O'Connor is in her 200 metres individual medley. I'm hoping it'll do well and we'll see Siobhan get that gold medal, hopefully. But you just never know. It's going to be a fantastic week. There's going to be some really fast racing.
Looking forward to it. And indeed, we are going live now to Tollcross.